You know I hate asking you for a favor, but I need that snow globe. Why would I still have that?
Just as some answers are revealed, even more questions are asked. So let's break down episode 8 of Cruel Summer and find out just what happened. What's going on, you lovely people? Lisa here, and it is time to dive into another episode of Freeform's highly addictive mystery show, Cruel Summer. Now, last episode left us with a bombshell ending that Kate voluntarily went to Martin Harris's house to stay, thinking he was a trustworthy adult because, well, she hasn't realized he's a creep yet, and unfortunately, he's doing a pretty good job of grooming her. So now we have kind of the mystery of when did she actually get put in the basement, did Jeanette really see her or not, and who the hell is Annabelle. This episode also kind of ends with Mallory looking even sketchier, at least to me, but I have a feeling I'm not alone because from the comments, all of you seem to think that Mallory has something to do with everything. She's kind of creeping a lot of people out. But yeah, none of you seem to trust her. So let's dive into this episode. If you want to skip ahead to where my new theories are, you can check down in the time codes below. I think the video also gets divided in chapters, so you can check it out there. But this episode, the events take place on August 30th, just one day after the events of the previous episode, and this time we're back to Jeanette's point of view. So let's kick things off in 1993, where we see what seems like the end of Mallory and Jeanette's friendship, but also the beginning of the cutest couple known as Vince and Ben. So, Jeanette has gotten her braces off, and she is feeling like she is starting the school year off as a new woman. And if any of you have had braces before, I did, so I had them twice actually, so I know what this feeling is like. It's seriously, it's like you're got a whole new lease on life. You are a new person. You're like, I'm gonna smile all the time. Unfortunately though, things get immediately weird when she gets to school, and Jeanette still has Kate's scrunchie on her wrist, and Mallory kind of points out how freaking weird that is because Jeanette's been wearing it for weeks thinking that she'd run into Kate, and it's kind of turning into this weird obsession. And this is Mallory and Jeanette's kind of first bit of tension in this episode. Then at lunch, Mallory pulls out a VHS tape and she says it's the prank tape. This is the last item on their list from the summer. Now Jeanette unfortunately is more interested in trying to get the popular kids' attention like Jamie than listen to anything Mallory is saying, and she doesn't even want to carry out this list because I think she thinks it's going to make her look uncool if she's seen with them. She's kind of like, are we still really doing this? And Mallory's like, yeah, summer's not over until the last item on the list is done. So they make a plan for Mallory to go into the AV room and play the tape for the afternoon announcements while Jeanette and Vince stand as lookouts. Now Jeanette hesitates but agrees to do it. But before she heads inside, she sits awkwardly at the table kind of next to Jamie and the popular kids, Tennille and Renee and them, and kind of waits, hoping that she'll get noticed. And for her, it's worth it.
Hey, Jailbird.
Now it's time for Mallory, Vince, and Jeanette to pull off their prank. And Mallory reveals she finished the tape that morning when she filmed Martin Harris getting soaked by his sprinklers. And it's kind of like, ooh, wait, that means Mallory has been back to the house. Even if she hasn't been inside, she has been back. And, well, I mean, you can mess with people's sprinklers from the outside. So maybe she hasn't seen Kate. But either way, Mallory seems like she can be sneaky. She taped this thing without Mr. Harris knowing, so we know that she can be sneaky. Anyway, Mallory and Jeanette continue to clash as she's like, who died and made you boss? And she's starting to realize she needs to stand up for herself because Mallory's really wearing the pants in this friendship. Now as Mallory waits for the right time to play the tape, both Jeanette and Vincent fail at being lookouts. Vince gets pulled away because Ben walks by and says hi, and honestly, when a hot guy comes that you've been crushing on and walks by and says, hey, you want to go talk? It's like, do you go with the hot guy? Do you ditch your best friend? What do? We're all human, right? Sometimes you don't make the best decision, but maybe you do. We see Vince go off with Ben, and they go to the gym to kind of talk because when Ben said hi, Vince just kind of didn't know what to say and blurted out, hey, didn't your mom die? And, well, Vince's mom has died, so it's kind of a bonding thing. And they go and talk about their shared experiences, or their similar experiences, I should say, in the gym. And Ben reveals that his mom died of cancer, and there was something that he kind of wanted to say to her before she died, but he chickened out and he just said, he loved her instead. And when Vincent kind of asks, what did you want to say, Ben does this little pinky handhold with him like this, and it's so cute, and you know what he wanted to say, even though we don't audibly get to hear Ben say the words. We all know what it was. As for what pulled Jeanette away from her post in the hallway, it's none other than Joy Wallace. Jeanette hears Joy Wallace's high heels just clickety-clacking it down the hallway, and you know how nosy Jeanette is, so she follows Joy into Martin's office to ask if Kate showed up to school today, and you can see Martin beginning to squirm, and it's like, well, why would Joy go to Martin to ask him first? Well, we know he's been around the family, and that's what she says. She says, you've been around our family long enough to know that we like to keep things on the down low. So she's like, maybe he can help out without the whole town knowing, because it doesn't seem like a huge town, and everybody's kind of in everybody's business. So he calls to get the list of absences for the day, and Kate is one of them. Now, Joy initially brushes it off to being just a one-night thing of Kate running away to a friend's house and how she thought she'd be back, because as a kid, Joy did the same thing. She ran away quite a few times to a friend's house and then came home. But the fact that Kate didn't show up to school, now Joy's a little worried, because that adds another level to it, like something more dangerous could happen, because wouldn't she come to school with her friend? But now Martin's squirming even more and kind of has to cover his own ass and takes advantage of Joy's trust and his skills at gaslighting and grooming and whatever. And when she says that maybe they should get the police involved, he's like, well, if you do, then they're going to confuse what happened with negligence, and basically trying to point out that if the police get involved, Joy could look bad, because then the events of what happened with Joy and Kate would come out, about Joy hitting her and Kate running away. And yeah, just involving the police would not be a good thing for keeping things on the down low like Joy really wants. And she's like, well, you're right. And Martin's kind of like, Kate's a good girl, she'll be back home before you know it. And Joy seems pretty satisfied and leaves, and you see Martin kind of breathe a sigh of relief because he's gotten out of another sticky situation. Now, as Joy leaves the school, a desperate little Jeanette comes running out after her, kind of offering some help, and she has another creepy smile on her face.
I'm one of Kate's friends.
No, that part doesn't ring a bell.
We're new friends. I wanted to tell you if you need anything, I'm here.
What would I ever need from you?
Yeah, as much as I'm not a huge fan of the character of Mallory, she is not wrong in just pointing out how weird Jeanette's obsession with the Wallace family is. Like, it truly is to the point of creepiness, and it definitely is turning into like a Talented Mr. Ripley thing, which is a book that was mentioned in the last episode that both girls have read. So I still am holding on to my theory that maybe at some point Kate and Jeanette met up in Martin's house, and maybe like they were gonna switch lives, but then of course Martin turned out to be a creep. That's just one of my theories that I talked about more in depth last video, so if you want to check that out, you can. It's in the description below. But moving on, while this is all happening, Mallory's in the AV room, not knowing her lookouts have ditched her, and she's waiting for the perfect time to pop the tape in. When she does, she starts playing it, and of course that's right when Martin Harris walks in, and after Mallory explains that the tape is just a tape of their favorite teachers, or not favorite teachers, doing silly things, he sees that she recorded him that morning with sprinklers, and he starts freaking out. Immediately takes the tape, gives Mallory attention, and scoots his butt back to his office. So it's like, oh, he saw something on that tape. What was it? Because if there was nothing else on it but him getting caught by the sprinklers, he wouldn't be freaking out. So he saw something that maybe Mallory didn't. As he runs back to his office, Mallory goes and unloads her anger on Vince and Jeanette for ditching her, and Vince makes up a little white lie about how he got pulled away, and Mallory accepts it. But when it's Jeanette's turn to explain, she brings up Kate, and Mallory's just kind of triggered by hearing that word, and she's just like, Kate's the worst, she's out of our league, why are you so obsessed with her, why do you want to be friends with her, ha ha ha. Kind of funny now seeing how Mallory is friends with Kate in 1995 and 94. But anyway, Jeanette fires back at Mallory for abandoning them at the mall with the shoplifting incident, and how it's kind of the same thing, and Mallory tries to brush it off, being like, no, I thought we were over this. And yeah, let's just say that things are boiling up inside of Jeanette, and she finally just lets her feelings out.
Friends, they don't bully one another. It's everything you want or else. That's not a friendship. Maybe I want to make some of my own choices. Maybe I want to make some new friends.
Well, as we've seen, it's a new year and a new Jeanette, and when Mallory is like, fine, you don't want to be friends with me and Vince anymore, Jeanette's just kind of like, yeah, no, I just don't want to be friends with you. And it's kind of like, oh, that stings even worse. And we see Mallory walk off crying, and part of me feels bad for her and part of me doesn't feel bad for her. All these characters are kind of have this like little misunderstood part, and they're just trying so hard, but like So after that, friendship seems to end. It's after school and Jeanette runs into Jamie once again, and he stops her and notices she got her braces off and talks about when he got his off and says that she has a really nice smile. And of course this puts the biggest smile on Jeanette's face, because this is twice now that Jamie has noticed her, and the fact that he noticed that she got the braces off, that's kind of a big thing to her, and it would be to kind of anybody if your crush noticed something like that, like a really fine detail. But you know that Jeanette is like exploding inside. Fireworks are going off. But then she kind of like makes it weird by telling Jamie that Kate's mom was at school and reported Kate missing. And then Jeanette jokes about how the boyfriends are always the first suspects, so she just wanted to warn him. And then he kind of panics and says he's got to go and run off. And like, why would you say that to him? Why would you say it that way anyway? You could just have said, ooh, her mom came and she's missing. Have you heard anything about that? Do you know anything? Bringing up that the boyfriends are the first suspects, it just kind of shows how bad Jeanette's communication skills are. But anyway, when we see Jamie run off, he's kind of panicked. And I think he's feeling guilty about making Kate late for her birthday dinner and of course being drunk. So I think he's thinking more of, oh crap, did what I did lead Kate to run away or something like that. I don't think it's more of anything else going on, like Jamie's involved in anything, because it was only a day later, so he's just panicking. But then after Jamie runs away, it's kind of like Jeanette has that weird creepy smile on her face again, and it's kind of like she likes watching people's lives crumble, or maybe she sees that, oh, wait, maybe Jamie trusts me now? I don't know, but every time that Jeanette has that little creepy smile, I get a little shiver, you know? The episode then ends with a scene in 1993 of Martin rushing back to his office with that tape and playing it a few times to kind of see what's in the tape and freaking out and breaking the tape. So why did he break it? Because you can see behind Martin, very faintly in that front window, Kate looking out of it. Yeah, so now it's kind of like, ooh, did anybody else see that? We know that Mallory's the only one that had this tape so far. Did she see that? I don't know, but I'll talk about that more after I get to the events of this episode, the rest of the events of the episode. Okay, now moving on. This episode really doesn't do anything to make us get more on Jeanette's side when it comes to her lying, at least for me, because she just lies so easily. It's scary, and apparently she is so convincing at it that, like, no, I can't trust her still. Now, in the past, we've seen Cindy confront Jeanette about the key to Martin's house, and now it's Greg's turn. So in 1994, he asks her about the key, and Jeanette says she only used it once, when they broke in that one summer in 1993 to play hide and seek, but they never went back. And she's kind of sticking to that story, and she is really selling it because Greg believes it, even though we as viewers all know that that is BS. And we also know that Vincent and Mallory both know that she's been back multiple times. Now, Greg tells Jeanette that if anyone else finds out she has the key, it can make her look very bad. So after school, he's taking her to the police so she can tell them herself. Meanwhile, Jeanette's just more concerned about when Cindy's coming home because she's still at her sister's house. Now, at school, Jeanette and Vince are friends again, and well, he's kind of like her only friend because they arrive at school and brr, is it cold there yet? Everybody, including Tennille and Renee, are giving her bad looks. And well, Jeanette just wants to ditch school, but Vince tries to tell her that it's gonna be okay. It's the rumor mill, it's high school, something else bad will happen, everybody will forget about Jeanette. But you know, it's pretty bad this first day at school. And things just get worse, so Jeanette ends up running out of school midday, and Vince is right behind her. And she tells Vince to just stay away from her because being friends with her could also ruin his image too, and could even potentially bring out his secret relationship with Ben if that's, you know, if Vince is put into the spotlight, and she's trying to protect them at all costs, which is one good thing she's doing, but she basically just tells Vince for his own good he needs to leave her alone. Now, as Vince goes to walk back into the school, we see that Jamie's watching this whole blow up from afar, and well, Jamie just says that he was checking in on Jeanette, but Vince is kind of like, you lost that privilege when you broke up with her and when you freaking hit her, and that all Jamie is doing is feeling guilt. And well, Jamie is kind of feeling some guilt, and he goes to sit in his car alone and drink from his flask, and then he starts listening to a tape on a little tape recorder, and the tape is playing what sounds like heavy breathing in the background and the sound of an old movie of a man and a woman saying "till death do us part." And it's kind of like, what the hell is this? Why is Jamie listening to this tape? Here's the sound.
Till death do us part. Till death do us part.
So yeah, we see that Jamie's drinking problems just getting worse and out of control. Now, as for Ben, his best friend, Ben's gearing up for what he thinks is going to be his standout years of football, as scouts are starting to take notice, and also the women of the school are really taking notice of Ben, mainly to Neil, and she tries to ask him out, but then gets embarrassed because Ben blows her off by saying he's too busy, and of course we as viewers know why that's happening. Now, when Jeanette returns home from school, Greg does make Jeanette go to the police station. She gives them the key and tells the same BS story to the police about playing hide and seek once and all of that, and Greg says that the police seem satisfied with this lie, even though he doesn't know it's a lie, but she gets off the hook for the key, and so that doesn't seem to even be playing a big part here, but hopefully the truth will come out with that. But now let's go over to 1995. Jeanette gives her lawyer the chat transcripts that Derek took from Ashley's computer, and they all seem pretty excited because it can definitely prove a glaring inconsistency in Kate's story, and that Kate is not a saint. They basically have proof that she is a liar to some extent. They're all seeming like this is a big win for them. Jeanette then goes to meet up with Cindy, who gives Jeanette a necklace that she got while she was in Paris for work. But yeah, Jeanette is not really into this. Jeanette's already dropped out of school. She's registering to take her GED, and Cindy's just kind of like confused on how all this happened. And we can see that the attitude of Jeanette has changed drastically since 1994, when Jeanette was asking when Cindy's coming back, to now Jeanette in 1995 being very hostile towards Cindy, not even calling her mother, just calling her Cindy, and saying that Cindy basically abandoned her family and now forces Jeanette to have to see her because of the rules of separation with Greg and Cindy, and how, you know, Cindy was over prancing around in France while Jeanette's life was unraveling. Basically, lots of hostility here. Cindy then asks Jeanette, though, if she hates her, and Jeanette actually says no, but then Cindy kind of goes on to ruin it by saying that this lawsuit could be a bad thing and she needs to rethink it because later on down the line, Jeanette could look back on her life and feel bad about having sued a kidnapping victim. And this just all makes Jeanette angry because it seems like once again Cindy is taking the Wallace's side in all of this. And then she storms out and takes the necklace with her. Now, as Jeanette goes back to her car, a reporter starts taking pictures of her. Early days of paparazzi, I guess, as Jamie also spots Jeanette, and he has just left Angela's bar where he tried to get a job, but she said she couldn't hire him because he has a record and he's a liability, and it begs the big question of what the hell did Jamie do to get a record? We haven't really seen him do anything bad except, well, I guess drinking, and then he did sit outside Jeanette's house, but it didn't seem like any charges were pressed there, so now we gotta wonder, how does Jamie have a criminal record? Well, we will find that out in a second. Jamie ends up catching up to Jeanette and begs for her to talk to him, and she says she just has to get out of there right now, and then he asks this.
Look, I've just been meaning to talk to you since I saw you, and you can say no, but just please consider coming to my garage later to talk.
I gotta go.
And I feel like that's just such a creepy way to say it. It's like, hey, will you come meet me in my garage? I'm like, no, that just sounds creepy. I'm sorry, Jamie, I would not go back to your garage, especially when he's acting so desperate, like he needs to talk to her, and he's also threatened her so much that it would just feel like a trap to me, and I would not be going there if I've learned anything from this show. But I am not Jeanette, and Jeanette does go over to see Jamie, and he's, of course, drinking again, so his drinking problem is pretty bad. And Jeanette's basically like, why should I listen to anything you have to say? Whatever, you hit me, called me names. That you have no right to be hurt out. And, well, Jamie, of course, grovels and apologizes, saying that he's going to regret this for the rest of his life, and how he got caught up in trying to be the macho hero. And, of course, he's trying to kind of excuse his behavior, but there really is no excuse for what he did. He also says he had no reason to not believe Kate, and Jeanette is kind of like, well, did you have any reason to not believe me? Because we were super close, you actually knew me. And then he's just kind of like, he doesn't know what to say. Now he's just like, oh, crap, what's happened? And Jeanette's kind of like, so, yeah, who do you believe now? And, well, we don't get to hear Jamie answer. We don't know if he answered or not. So, yeah, he's still kind of dancing around that subject. Instead, Jamie just kind of says he did try to apologize to Jeanette the year before at school because he saw how everyone was treating her and it was just too much and he had had enough. So he started to kind of drive to see her, and that's when everything spiraled. It was that same day that we're at in 1994. So let's go back to 1994, and this is after, Vincent and Jamie's encounter when Jamie's sitting in his car drinking. Ben ends up getting in and asking for a ride to the football field, not knowing Jamie is drunk, and Jamie just says, yeah, I'll take you there. But just as Jamie told Jeanette in 95, he's kind of speeding, getting frantically. He wants to talk to Jeanette, trying to get to her to apologize, but he's drunk. He's driving fast. He goes out of control and hits another car, and of course, he gets off injury-free, but gets arrested, hence his record. The other driver is also okay. Unfortunately, the only person who is not okay is Ben, who ends up with a compound fracture, and now his chances of a football career are ruined, and now we know why the lawyer kind of asked Ben if he blamed Jeanette for what happened to him, and it's like, are you serious? The one good guy on this show, poor Ben, is the only one to get hurt. Like, isn't that how it always works? The people who are assholes get away with stuff. I guess we do see their lives crumble in different ways, but then the one innocent bystander is the one who gets his whole life ruined because of his friends. Ugh. Justice for Ben! We also see a sad moment here between Ben and Vince as Vince rushes to Ben's side as he's waiting to get in the ambulance and grabs his hand and says he's coming with Ben to the hospital, but Ben then panics because he sees everyone around watching, including like Tennille and Renee, and he just pulls his hand away and says that's not a good idea. And it's just like, can't we just have some kind of happiness on this show? I want Vince and Ben to be happy, even though I already know in 1995 they're not happy because Ben won't really talk to Vince. But so far they're the only non-shady people on this show, so we have to protect them. But now I'm getting off track, so let's get back to 1995. We do see that Ben, unfortunately, still hasn't regained much strength in that arm, so yeah, his football dreams really are shattered when it comes to playing. Now, after Jamie tells Jeanette about what happened in 94 with the accident, Jeanette's kind of like, great, now another thing to add to the list of damage that she's caused. She's feeling guilt about it. But Jamie says no, it's all his fault, and they kind of bond a little bit over how they're both kind of feeling like the world sucks. And then she sees his tape recorder and asks about him. Now, it's the same tape recorder we saw the year prior. He ends up playing it for her and says that this happened a little bit after Kate went missing on Christmas Eve. He got this message on the answering machine of random sounds. He thought that maybe it had to do something with Kate. And we see Jeanette once again get a look of panic on her face, like something has been revealed, something that's going to make her look bad. And she grabs her bag and runs out and ends up knocking on Mallory's door, of all people. Now, this is the part that's kind of gonna leave people asking even more questions, not with answers, maybe? I don't know. Jeanette shows up at Mallory's doorstep after hearing the tape Jamie played, and she asks Mallory for a favor, and you can see there's still a lot of tension between these two. They don't like each other. But Jeanette asks for the snow globe, and Mallory gets all defensive, being like, why would I still have that? And she says she doesn't. So Jeanette leaves, but Mallory then goes inside and pulls a box out from under the bed. And inside of that box is the snow globe, which she has kept, and then she shakes it and looks at it. And well, yeah, those are the main big events of this episode. We also do have Angela confronting Greg about the truth if Cindy left him or not, and that's when we learn about the key and Greg taking her to the police and all of that. And we learned that Cindy left and asked for space but wanted to work things out, but Greg's the one who shut down, and how that's kind of how things didn't work out. And yeah, I don't care about that couple as much right now as what's going down in this episode. So now it's like, what the hell does a snow globe mean? And did Mallory notice Kate in the tape when she recorded it? It just makes Mallory seem even shadier, right? Sketchier. Like she knows more than she's letting on. Now look, I know I wear thick glasses. Like these suckers are thick, and sometimes I get distracted during these shows and I don't pick up on a lot of little things. But I don't think I've ever seen this snow globe before or mentioned on the show before. If it has been, please let me know down in the comments, because I need to go back and then, rewatch that part. But it's kind of like, why would hearing Jamie's tape set off Jeanette like that? She must be feeling guilty about something, like that tape could ruin her. So by the time maybe Christmas Eve came along, we know Mallory and Jeanette were not friends, at least as the first day of school happened, because they had that big fight. Now, that was one day after Kate went missing. Now, there's still some time. We've seen Jeanette and Mallory make up before. Remember when Jeanette went and stole Martin's yearbook to give to Mallory to apologize for flushing all that weed. Maybe that's happened a few times since that first day of school fight in 1993. Maybe by Christmas time, Jeanette wasn't quite in with the popular kids yet. Maybe, after Christmas was her big transformation. We still don't know when that actually happened yet. But maybe she wasn't in with the popular kids and was trying to win Mallory back, so she could have gone back with her key to Martin's house, gone in and stolen Martin's snow globe or something, and maybe that's the time when she could have seen Kate. But how would she have seen Kate? Maybe was Kate down in the basement by that time? If Kate wasn't, then she could have seen her above, but that's a weird message on the answering machine. I know someone said maybe the front door key also works for the basement, and if that's the case, maybe Jeanette did go down to the basement and Kate was possibly drugged, and maybe Jeanette ran out in a panic thinking that Kate was dead or something, and maybe didn't close the basement door and left, and Kate was able to kind of make her way up the stairs and get to a phone and leave that message maybe before passing out, or maybe before Martin found her. I don't know. Could Mallory have at some point broken into the house, although she didn't have the key? We also got to wonder, though, if while filming Mr. Harris outside of school that day with the sprinkler incident, if she even saw, Kate in the window. I feel like that was so faint. If she wasn't paying attention and was just focusing herself on, Mr. Harris, Martin Harris, maybe it wasn't a thing. Maybe she didn't see her. I don't know. Many of you seem to think that maybe Kate saw Mallory and not Jeanette. So I feel like I don't know. I've just got so many more questions, you guys. Because we still don't know exactly when Kate goes into that basement. We do know the day or the morning after she went to Martin's house, she's still above ground. She's still in the main house. And maybe she just decided to not go to school that day. She still needed some time off. Maybe Martin has kidnapped her this time, locked her in the house, but you couldn't really do that, because if she's above, she could just, the regular front door wouldn't be like that. I don't know. When does Kate go to the basement? What the heck is the deal with this snow globe? I've just got so many more questions. I think right now I'm leaning more towards, though, that Christmas Eve has to be the day that they think they saw each other, if it actually happened. And that message on the phone, or on the answering machine for Jamie, if they trace it back, could be traced to maybe Martin Harris's house and Kate, and then Mallory could blow things up by saying, this is the day that I got this snow globe. She told me it was from Martin's house. It's got to be something like that. Something that can definitely blow things up for maybe both of them, if not just one of them. But for now, guys, let's go ahead and watch the promo for the next week and see if we can come up with any more theories about what's to come in these last 2 episodes.
There's something I haven't told you. I wasn't always locked in the basement. Martin? Open the door!
Groomers pose as saviors,
You're not alone.
when in reality they're predators.
Should we call the police?
Kate wouldn't put herself in harm's way. She's somewhere safe.
You're officially a missing person. Police are looking for you.
Oh man, wow, that promo. So Kate comes clean to the therapist about actually being at Martin's house and not being in the basement. So we see that she doesn't go down into the basement for a while because Martin tells her that she's already been declared a missing person. So what is he saying to her? What is he doing to her to get her to just stay in the house without going to school and all of that? How many days is it until she's declared a missing person? And then I feel like the red dress, she gets tricked down into going into the basement, or tricked into going down into the basement like as a date thing, and then something goes wrong. Maybe Martin's panicking. You see him close those blinds, and we do see that Jeanette is still creeping around. So yeah, she definitely went to that house at some point and maybe saw Kate, but how? I feel like that's, when he's closing the curtains is not when Jeanette is outside. They're just trying to make you think that. So when did Jeanette go there? Did she see Kate? Was Kate still above, or was she not? I don't know. This next episode seems like it's going to be a good one, and I'm excited, and we better get answers in this last episode. So you guys, let me know. Do you have any new thoughts and theories about what the hell is going on? What do you think about the snow globe? And do you think Jamie's tape as well? When do you think Jeanette saw Kate? If she did, so many questions. I need to know all your thoughts and theories down in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my recaps, interviews, all kinds of fun things. You can check out more videos right over here. But as always, I'm Lisa. Thanks for hanging out and listening to me ramble. I will see you again at the next episode. Bye.